Hello everybody, Drmixable here, and today, well, not today, I mean it's the same day, anyway, today we're going to be covering the items of the Season 3 of League of Legends. And right now I'm on the PvE, so I'm going to go ahead and jump into it. I currently have these boots. There's tier 3 boots now. You can read the description because I'm hovering over that one. I'm actually not going to cover the boots. Somebody has already done, to save time really, but somebody's already done a video on the boots. I'm going to link them. Their channel's 3 Game Masters, but I'm going to link the video in the description. They made a great video on the boots. It's already got a ton of views, so you may have already seen it. I think they did a good job describing it, so I'm just going to leave it to them to describe it to you guys. But I'm going to cover all the rest of the items that they don't have a video for. They only have the boots. So we'll start out. Cage's Lucky Pick as well as the Avarice Blade have been reduced to 4 gold per 10. Only Philo Stone has been left at 5 gold per 10. So I'm going to go ahead and sell this now so that I can have more money to show you guys what's new. So first of all, we'll talk about the UI. As you can see, this is different. You can have your recommended items here, and it says starting, essential, offensive, or defensive. So this is pretty good. This actually has some pretty helpful items. So if you know you're winning the lane, you want to go aggressive, you can buy this. But if you need more health or you want to go more defensive, you grab these. These are actually really nice items. I think it's a nice touch. All items, you got a list of all the different tabs that you can search through, or you can just look through them all. I'm going to go ahead and look through them all. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go through the tabs in each section and talk about the new items in each one. So we'll start defense health. As you can see, there's not much different except for the Doran's Blade no longer has lifesteal. Instead, you restore 5 HP each time you hit an enemy, as well as reduced health, I believe. Same, the Doran's Ring also has a little bit less mana regen, but you restore 5 mana when you kill an enemy unit. Doran's Shield has reduced armor and health regen, I believe, but you block 6 damage from champion basic attack. So it's pretty nice. No increase in gold cost either. So it's nice. Sightstone is a new supporty item. It has a unique passive, Ward Refresh. So when you start, you get the item, and whenever you return to base, you get 4 charges. You can place this one of the, and those 4 charges each are a ward. So you can place up to 2 wards at once. They're normal 3-minute wards. You carry up to 4. When you return to base, they refresh. So if you have more than 2 at a time, the first one you placed will get disappeared. So it's like Caitlyn Trap. So if you have more than 3, and once you place that 4th one, the first one you placed disappeared. So it's similar to that method. And then Giant's Belt has a price reduction with health reduction. Ruby Sightstone is built off of Sightstone. You add a ruby crystal to it, then you get 5 charges instead of 4. Same amount of and then you can also place 3 wards instead of 2. You can have up to 3 up at a time instead of just 2, but they're still the same old 3-minute wards, and then you also get an additional 200 health. So that's not pretty, but a really nice support item. Phage, I believe, had its slow reduction as well as the amount of the length of the slow reduction. Haunting Guise, I don't think there's been much change. It actually upgrades into something, but we'll cover that when I get there. Shirley Reverie had some regen deductions, as you can see, as well as Philo Stone. Then Spirit Visage, I don't think has been changed. Aegis of Legion is now built out of Emblem of Valor instead of just the Null Magic, the Ruby, and the Cloth. You have to build an Emblem of Valor, and then the Aegis can now be upgraded to Runic Bulwark, but we'll get there as well. Spirit of the Ancient Golem is another new item. This is built off of a Giant's Belt and Spirit Stone, which is a new item. Spirit Stone is built off of Machete, which is another new item, but we'll cover all that when we get to the base items. Basically, we'll talk about the big item here, which is Spirit of the Ancient Golem. You get 500 health, 30 armor, regen, health regen, mana regen, passive, which is Butcher, which you can deal more damage to monsters. So this is like for AP junglers, like Fiddlesticks or a Moo, but it also gives a unique passive Tenacity. So the duration of stuns and slows is reduced by 35%. So that's pretty good. Then Zeke's Herald is now built out of just a Vampiric and a Kindle Gem, so it no longer gives attack speed. Look at that. Look at those minions that Leona's pushing. Good job, minions. And Vampiric Scepter, we'll talk about that because it's right here, is now built out of a Longsword, so it now gives damage and lifesteal. Banshee's Veil, I think, had a price reduction. Or increase, I think, because Negatron Cloak has been increased in price. Okay, so I think it's about the same price, actually, because Negatron Cloak has been increased in price, as well as giving 5 more magic resist, but Catalyst had its price reduced, I believe, like the total cost. Like, these are both the same basic cost, but the total cost has been decreased. Sunfire Cape had its price decreased because Giant's Belt is no longer worth that much. and chain vests got an increase, but it also increased armor. So price increase, armor increase. Warmogs had a price decrease by about 350 because Giant Spell price got reduced, as well as Rejuvenation Speed price reduced, and it has less effect. Now it just gives you flat 1,000 health, as well as it got the Force of Nature passive, so 1.5% max health per 5. It's a really strong item now, I think, especially for tanks that want to build a lot of health. Another new item is Ohm Wrecker. Built off of Catalyst and a Chain Vest, it gives you health, mana, armor, as well as preventing the closest enemy tower from attacking for 2.5 seconds. It's on a 2-minute cooldown and can't be used on the same tower more than once every 7.5 seconds. I'm actually going to go ahead and buy this item so that I can show it to you when we get there. I'm going to buy certain items so I can show you their effects. Some of them don't really have an effect that I can show you. Landry's Torment. This is built off of Haunting Guys. Pretty sweet item. It gives the Magic Pen. Another passive is spell damage. Burns the enemy for 5% of their current health over 3 seconds. So if their movement is also impaired, so if they're slowed, they take double the damage. So that's pretty good. So if it has, and then if it's multi-target, it has less damage or half duration of the burn. So it's a pretty sweet item for champions such as Vlad, who I'm playing right now. You get health, you get ability, and you get burn. It's actually going to be it's going to give Haunting Guys a much better use now because it didn't really fit into the game much. Although I did build it on Katarina, it'll be even better now and can be played on more champions. And then Randuin's Omen, I think, had some tweaks, so I'm not really going to go over that. Runic Bulwark is the new item that's built off of Aegis of the Legion. So you get more MR from building it, as well as more health, as well as more, and then it keeps the same armor. And then the only difference is you get more, the aura gains more bonuses. So the aura before was 10 armor, 15 magic resist, and 10 health regen to everybody. Now it's an extra 30 magic resist, or it's up to 30 for everybody. So basically, Runic Bulwark is basically if you build Aegis and they have a lot of magic damage and you want to build some more MR, so this will be good on people like Galio, who already will do better with more MR. But you know, if they have a heavy MR team or magic damage team, this will be really good. Frozen Mallet obviously has the tweaks from Giants and Phage. Other than that, that's all for health. If we go into armor, we'll look at some of the new items that are in armor that I haven't already covered already. So here's one, Banner of Command. This is built off of Emblem, as well, Emblem of Valor that is, as well as the Blasting Wand. What it does is it gives you 50 AP as well as 30 armor, and then nearby allies gain 10 health regen per 5, so it's an aura, and allied minions deal an extra 15% damage. So this is really good for pushing the lane because it also comes with a promote skill. So the promote skill has now been put into an item, and that's the Banner of Command. So that's a good item if you want to, you know, push the lane. If you're a big pushing lane, this might be good for supports as well because it does give that health regen aura as well as giving your minions increased damage. So if you paired this up with a Sivir in your lane and you were the support, you're carrying Banner of Command, it'd be a pretty good combination. Then we've already covered Spirit of the Ancient Golem. Guardian Angel is now built without the cloth armor, so it gives less armor, and it revives your champion upon death, giving 30% of max health and mana. So it's not just a flat 750 health, 250 mana. It's a 30% of each. So, and I think it did have a price reduction, I believe. Maybe, I'm not quite sure on that. I don't know the price exactly. And then Frozen Fist is the last one in the armor section. It is built off of Sheen and Glacial Shroud. It has a passive of Spellblade, so after using an ability, your next basic attack deals bonus physical damage equal to 125% of your base attack damage to surrounding enemies and creates a field for 3 seconds that slows enemies inside by 35%. So this is good for people like Ezreal, or maybe Ezreal, more like Rise actually, because, well, you know, it might be good on both because the thing with Ezreal, he does have some AP scaling and it does do bonus physical damage, but it's also good on Rise because it gives a ton of mana, ton of armor, ton of cooldown reduction, and AP. So it's especially good on Rise because of the stats it gives. The passive would be pretty good on Rise, especially mixed with his ulti. So it's kind of a variety item. It depends on who you're playing. I think it's more geared toward magic damage champions, obviously because of the AP, but it could work on somebody like Ezreal. In Magic Resist, there's not too many new ones, other than Quicksilver Sash can now be built into a new item. That item is Mercurial Scimitar. So you combine a Quicksilver Sash with a BF Sword, and you get the Mercurial Scimitar. and it gives 65 attack damage as well as 45 magic resist, and it removes all debuffs from your champion, so it cleanse, which is what Quicksilver Sash does, and grants 100% movement speed for 1 second. So basically, it's a get out of there item. You are attacking, you're attacking, and then you realize you're the only person left, you're 80 carry, you need to live to defend your base. You pop this, you're clear from your debuffs, and you just sprint away because you're moving so fast. Then, following that is the Wraith Collar. Wraith Collar is built out of cages as well as a null magic mantle. It gives 50 AP, 30 magic resistance, and 5% movement speed, and it summons 2 invulnerable ghosts for 6 seconds that seek the 2 nearest enemy champions. If they touch an enemy champion, they slow his movement speed for 40% and reveal him for 2.5 seconds. This is really good for champions who don't have mana, such as Katarina. That's first comes to mind because she's my main. So she not only can she move faster, she's got MR to defend herself from the mid, but she can also slow people to catch up to Shenpo, etc., etc. This is also going to maybe people such as Vlad or, you know, any champion, any AP champion. This will be a really strong item, I think, especially for champions that are melee or have short range like attacks, or not necessarily attacks but spells. So I think this will be a really strong item in the meta. As well, we've also got
a vital decision.
Hold on a second, what the heck? Oh, okay, so the game's about to disconnect me. 1 second, once I reconnect we'll continue. Well, we're back, guys, and it actually took a little bit longer because I had to go back and earn more gold because it disconnected me, and since I was facing bots, it just ended the game. But now we're back. Let me get back to where I was, and I can continue. So go ahead and sell this. There's one thing I'm going to pick up, though, is I want to pick up the Omni Wrecker again so that I can show you that when I get to that point. As well as, there was something else I'd bought. Oh, yeah, that's right. The Banner of Command, which I can't get yet, but I should earn the gold soon enough. Anyway, when we left off, we were in Magic Resist. We had talked about the Wraith Collar. And now we're going to move on to... Oh, yeah, I think we talked about this already. So next, that was my dad sneezing. I don't know if you could hear that or not. Probably could, but this is the Crystalline Flask. This is an item for supports. And, well, not necessarily only for supports, but it's a good item for supports and pretty much for anybody. For 225, it could be a starting item. It could not. Depends on what you want to build. You get 3 charges, which restore 100 and health and 40 mana over 10 seconds. Every time you come back to the shop, they refill, kind of like the Sightstone. So it's a pretty nice item. Doesn't build anything, so you'd sell it after you were done, but it's not too bad. Here's the Spirit Stone I was talking about earlier. I'm going to go ahead and talk about the Machete. It's just straight up buy. This is pretty much the go-to buy for the junglers. Deal damage to monsters increased by 10%, and basic attacks deal an extra 10 bonus true damage to monsters. So it's really good for jungling. It can build into Madrids, which can then turn into Wriggles, or you can go ahead and you can just build it into the Spirit Stone, which can build into the Spirit of the Ancient Golem, or the 2 others, which we will cover when I get there. So Spirit Stone is health and regen and mana regen, as well as bonus damage to monsters, or an extra 15% damage when you're attacking monsters. So that's it's a pretty good item for junglers like Maokai, who need a lot of health regen and mana regen. So it's actually good for almost every jungler, the Spirit Stone thing. So I mean, it depends, and if you're an attack damage champion, you may want to go for Wriggles, but a lot of the time you're going to want to go for the Spirit Stone, like people such as Skarner. After that, we've got the Tiamat, which is melee only, so I'm not going to go ahead and pick it up, but it's an enhanced version of... Make sure I'm clicking around here, I don't want to go inactive. It's an enhanced it's kind of upgraded, you could say, from the old Tiamat. It just has more use now, so passive, 60% attack damage to units around your target, and then Crescent, and that's an active, so you do 100% damage around the units, decaying down to 60% near the edge instead of 20% near the edge. So that's an active, but it has a 10-second cooldown, so that's pretty good. And that actually upgrades into the Ravenous Hydra, so you get the Tiamat as well as a Vampiric Scepter, and so you gain lifesteal, you gain more attack damage than the Tiamat, but now the passive also works with lifesteal, so you are healing like crazy. Put that on a Scion, oh my goodness. With his ultimate, you would just be healing like crazy. Then we've got Spear of the Elder Lizard, which builds from Spirit Stone. You add the pickaxe to it, and then you've got 50 attack damage, the health regen and mana regen that is the same as the Spirit Stone. All it does is add 50 attack damage. You get 20% damage to monsters, increased damage to monsters, but your basic attacks and non-periodic spell damage burn the target for between 15 to 66, based on level, damage over 3 seconds. So it's like a red buff. You basically get a red buff, guys. That is awesome. Especially if you're somebody who needs a red buff, but you also want to give your AD carry a red buff, you get this thing, psh, no problem. It's really great. I can go ahead and buy the banner command now, so I can show you guys that. And then now if we move on to Tenacity, there's nothing new here except for Zephyr. Zephyr is built off of Stinger, which, as you know, can build in the Asher's Tooth. But it can also be built into the Zephyr now, so you add a longsword to the Stinger, and you've got 20 attack damage, 50% attack speed, 10% movement speed, 10% cooldown reduction, and you got 35% tenacity. So it's a pretty nice, cheap item. If you need tenacity, you need attack damage, you need attack speed. So I guess I'm thinking. I can't think of a really fast attacking champion. It might be good on some AD carries who need cooldown reduction. But, you know, I don't really know who this would be geared towards. I guess maybe people like Udyr, if they want to build a different boot that's not Merc Treads, they can build this. And then they got extra movement speed as well as attack speed and attack damage. I'm thinking it might be useful top as well if you want to grab boots, different boots on Irelia. You've also got the fast attack speed as well as an extra attack damage. So I guess it's geared more towards champions such as that. Next, in attack damage, the new items we have start with, let's see, have they changed what they're called? No, okay. I don't think they changed it much. We've got, Man Immune has been changed. So, you build it the same way, but now your passive is you can't, there's an extra passive called Mana Charge, and every time you attack, cast a spell, or spend mana, you gain the 4 maximum mana. So it continues the Mana Charge from the Tier Goddess. And then when you transform into Muramasa, it costs, okay, so it transforms into Muramana once you've got that stacked up to 750 mana. So you got the Tier of the Goddess, and that caps at 750 mana. So if you were to build straight from a fully stacked Tier of the Goddess into a Man Immune, that would go straight into a Muramasa. Now, when you go into the Muramasa, you gain an extra 10 attack damage. You also gain 1,000 mana. Well, no, you don't gain 1,000 mana. The 750 gets added to the mana already, so you have the 1,000 mana. But now you gain attack. You get the attack damage to 2% of your max mana, and you can toggle it so your spells and attacks consume 4% of your mana to deal twice the amount of magic damage. So I guess if you're trying to track somebody down with Urgot and you built this Muramana, you would do 4% of your current mana to deal the amount of magic damage. I guess for heavy mana, like if you want to have a bunch of mana on a champion, you can build this. I guess this makes it more useful on champions who were to build it, such as Urgot or Sivir, who used to build it, but it kind of got zoned out by other items. This kind of brings it back. Not quite sure the best use for it yet, but that'll be figured out soon enough. Then continuing on, we've got the Blade of the Ruined King, which was in Twisted Treeline beforehand, but it's also been added to this mode now. Summoner's Rift. So it's built off of Vampiric Scepter, or it's built off of Vampiric Scepter and Pickaxe, which turns into a Bilgewater Cutlass, which then turns into the Blade of the Ruined King. So from it, you get 40 attack damage, 10% lifesteal, and you deal 4% of the target's current health and physical damage, and you heal for half the amount. So it's kind of like a Madrid's, but you heal, because they did take out Madrid's. If you turn on an active, it drains the target champion, dealing 150. It's an active, I think it's target. Deals 150 damage plus 50% of your attack damage and healing you for the same amount. Additionally, you steal 30% of their movement speed for 2 seconds, kind of like Malphite's Q. Black Cleaver has been changed. It's no longer built out of a BF sword. It's built out of Brutalizer and a Ruby Crystal, so no longer gives attack speed. Instead, you deal physical damage to an enemy champion and reduce their armor by 7.5% for 4 seconds, and it can stack up to 4 times. So it gives like health and attack damage, so it's not necessarily for AD carries or people who build a lot of attack speed. It could also be built on champions such as Lee Sin or Irelia who want health and want attack damage and armor pen, and they can reduce the HP now. So it's a pretty good change. I think it'll turn out good in the meta. Next, we move on to Critical Strike, where they re-added sort of the Divine, and it basically just gives straight up 40% attack speed. Passive, kills or assists, have the item's cooldown, and so it's got a 25-second cooldown, and when you activate it, and that's for the unique active, you get 100% attack speed and 100% critical strike chance for 4 seconds or 3 critical attacks. While this item is on cooldown, it doesn't give the 40% attack speed. So for 25 seconds, if you use it, you don't have the 40% attack speed. But if you do use it on people such as Tryndamere or Yi, gonna be crazy, because basically you're gonna be attacking so fast for 3 attacks and do all those crits. So if you have an IE and you have any sort of attack damage, it's like boom, 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 and you could just like one-shot somebody. It could be deadly. But the good thing is they added, you don't get that 40% attack speed while it's on cooldown, so you kind of have to choose to use it early on a fight and know you're gonna get enough cooldown restores, or you know, you have to kind of judge. Also in this tab we've got Static Shiv, which is based off of Static, I think, the Riot member. So you built out of a Zeal and an Avarice Blade, and it gives you 40% attack speed, 20% critical strike, and 6% movement speed. And then the passive is moving and attacking builds static charges. At 100 charges, your next attack expends the charges to deal 100 magic damage up to 4 targets. This damage can critically strike. So it's kind of replacing Ionic Spark, except for instead of getting 4 auto attacks and then it goes, basically you have to move around, and I guess it builds up per second for the 100 charges, and then when you attack it keeps adding charges. So, and then it releases 100 damage up to 4 targets. So it's kind of similar to Ionic Spark. They removed Ionic Spark, but this kind of fits in and replaces it. Cloak of Agility has been decreased in price by 100, but it also lost 15% of its critical strike chance. Eye Edge has not been changed. BF Sword did lose 50 gold, but Eye Edge hasn't really been changed much. And then an attack speed, let's see, is there anything new? Well, Recurve Bow is less. And we got Runan's Hurricane. This is a range-only item. It's basically replacing the Tiamat for range champions. So you get 70% attack speed, which is a ton, because you just build it out of 2 daggers and a recurve bow, so that's why you get so much attack speed. And your basic attacks fire minor bolts at 2 nearby targets, dealing 10 plus 50% of your attack damage, and this applies on hit effects. There's actually a video about this as well, done by Cursed Pluto, and I will link that in the description, as well as the boot video, which I mentioned earlier. So this is a pretty good item on champions, mainly AD carries, so like Caitlyn or Ezreal. But it's better on, been pointing out, there might be issues. I don't know how it's going to work. I'd have to test it, but there might be issues with people such as TF, because this applies on hit effects. So does that mean you're going to have 3 stun cards? So you put the stun card going and you get 3 stun cards? Because that would be ridiculous. That's a question for Riot, and that I don't know the answer to. Nothing new in lifesteal that we haven't already covered. And ability power, there should be some new stuff that we haven't covered yet. We've already done Cage. No, we haven't done Cage's Last Breath yet. I apologize. Oh yes, we have. Sorry. Oh man, it's that break in between the video that really got me there. I was confused for a second. Now we've also got that upgraded version of Archangels, kind of like the Mana Mura or whatever. So you can build Archangels as normal, but once you get to that 750 mana, it can upgrade to Seraph's Embrace. And so you get the 100%, or the 1000 mana, and then you also get an extra 10 ability power. So then the unique active on this one is it drains 25% of your current mana to shield yourself with an equal amount for 3 seconds at 120 second cooldown. So it's basically a blitz passive. So that's kind of ridiculous, but awesome. So champions like Ryze are just going to become even more tanky. So you'll use this, and you'll use it when you get low, and you'll have a huge shield because you're already building tons of mana, and oh my god, it is going to be ridiculous. So Season 3 is going to be game-changing. There's going to be so many changes that are going to happen, and people are going to need to come up with new builds, new metas, probably just to deal with some of these new items. And I think it's awesome. Some people are like, oh no, I don't like it, but I don't know, I think it's going to be good. And then here we've got the Spirit of the Spectral Wrath, which I think I missed in the AP section. I don't know how I missed it. This is built off that Spirit Stone and Phoenix Codex, and what it does is it gives 30 ability power, 15 mana regen per 5. You get 20% spell vamp, 15% cooldown reduction, and you get the 20% increased damage against monsters. So it's kind of, I feel like it's one of those general items that's probably going to get zoned out by other better items because people are going to think they're better builds than using this. But, I mean, don't quote me, I'm not really a jungler. You'd have to ask Zerbear. He knows more, he's more the jungle guy. And if you're watching this, Zach, you can write in the comments and tell me what you think about that item. Next, in the spell vamp section, the only thing new is the Spirit of the Spectral Wraith, Wraith. In mana, we've got a new Mikhail's Crucible, which I think I did miss in the Magic Resist section, so I apologize for that. but we're getting to it anyway. It's not like I completely missed it, right? So this is built off of Chalice of Harmony. You can still build the Athene's Holy, but you mix a Chalice of Harmony, Sapphire Crystal, and you get Mikhail's Crucible, which gives 300 mana, 40 magic resist, 9 mana regen per second. You get the increasing mana regen by 1% per 1% mana you're missing, kind of like the Chalice of Harmony. And then the active is it removes all stuns, roots, taunts, fears, silences, and slows on an ally and heals them for 150 plus 15% of their missing health on a 3-minute cooldown. So it is a pretty strong item, especially for supports, because you're going to get a ton of mana regen. But if your AD carry is getting low and he CC'd, you just throw that on them, they're free to go, and they get healed. This is going to be a sweet support item, and it's going to give the supports like other options, because generally you had to build the Philo Stone Australia just for that mana regen and health regen, but now you can build this item as well as other items, so you already got a ton of mana regen and you can heal your allied champion with it. So it's a pretty good option for supports. Australia might be left to junglers, and this will be put on this is what the supports will build to kind of help the team. So that's a pretty good switch. I like what they're doing to kind of get the supports more in the game. Get in their supports, you can do it. In movement, we've got the boots, and as I've said, there's nothing really been changed on the boots except for every single champion in the entire game gets an extra 25 movement speed, but all the boots have been reduced by 25 movement speed, and that, I don't know why they did that, doesn't really make much sense to me, but yeah, anyway, you've got the boots, and then you got the tier 3 boots, but the tier 3 boots are covered in another video. Other movement items, there's nothing here except for the general items that give you movement speed. And in consumables, that I've already covered all these. So I hope that me going over those items was useful. I'm gonna go show you these couple items here now. Oh, I had a cannon minion, but I don't anymore. Clear this wave here, so that we can go ahead and well, I was gonna show you with a tank minion, but I have to go find one now. Ah, here's one. Fighting with the Soraka. The Soraka's been pushing the entire game, and she still can't win. All right. So, as you can see, I'm near the minion. I pressed the active, and now I got the super creep, so that's pretty sweet. Now I have to find my way to a turret. Come on. I'm going to teleport up to these minions and push the wave, so I can show you the Omni Wrecker. But I hope you guys have enjoyed the item. I try to give as much insight as I could as to where I think the items will be used. Yeah, anyway, I'm going to be linking to the boot video, as I said, as well as the Hurricane video, which Cursed Pluto did, because they've already done it, so why would I make another one? They've covered enough. I mean, maybe if they hadn't covered enough, I would, but they've covered it enough to like, me not needing to do anything about it. You know, screw it, I'm going to run past these minions, flash past them, just so I can show you. I'm going to go under this turret, and it's going to start to attack me, just to show you that it is attacking. But if I press it, it can't attack. As you can see, it kind of got neutralized, and then can take it out. So it's a really good item that maybe tanks want to build, because it gives that armor, the health, and the mana, but it can also be good on other champions, like Rise, that maybe want to go aggressive, but they also want more magic resist, or not magic, more mana, and want to build some armor so that they're tanky. But that's about it. Those are the actives that I could show without, like, the ones that are not really self-explanatory. So I hope that all of this has been useful to you guys. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comment section below, and I will see you all in the next video.